It's season 3 with me, Matt.
And me, Neil.
And me, Sam.
Welcome to this instalment of the Adeptus Terra podcast.
Strap in and relax.
Come and get your monthly hit of 3 idiots hooked on that plastic crack.
We hope you enjoy the chaos you're about to experience.
Hello and welcome to episode 6 of season 3 of the Adeptus Terra podcast. I'm very sad we don't have names for these anymore. I was just going to try and mad scramble for the name, but there isn't one.
No.
We can call
Maybe
this one...
Maybe we'll bring them back for season 4.
why don't we call this the Calling of Cathay? The Calling of Cathay.
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
Have you not seen the Cathayan Sentinels?
No.
Oh man, makes me want to do not heresy. I would do heresy. It makes me want to do old world.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I know what you're talking about now. You're talking about the giant
terracotta warrior style.
Terracotta warrior stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I did see a model.
And slightly racist. Sky Lantern.
Not sure what that is.
Have you not seen the Sky Lantern? Oh, okay. Well, imagine like a Chinese lantern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a blimp.
As a way of a mode of transport with
Yeah.
people in there throwing smoke grenades outside.
Oh.
It looks like quite a cool model. Maybe you could have an army of Sky Lanterns just bobbing around.
So there's the is it Sigmar that has the whole army of like dwarf sim blimps?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of get it. My problem with Sigma. This is a great intro. My problem with Sigma.
We
is
haven't even
that
said,
when
hey, I'm Matt.
When I go and look for stuff on Sigma, it's classified in order, death, chaos, destruction. Now that doesn't help me be able to find what I want to find because I have to click through all of them to try and find the faction. I don't know what faction it aligns to. And what's worse is it's not like an expanding menu where like, I click order, it opens and goes, oh, here's your 5 orders or 5 of that. It loads a new page. So it's just bullshit. It's bullshit.
Nonsense website.
Games
Yeah,
Workshop. Anyway, hello, welcome to episode 6, season 3. I'm Sam. This is Matt, and this is Neil.
Yes, we are all here.
Good jobs. Well, you say we're all here. We're not all here. I'm here. I'm here in the office recording. However, due to unforeseen circumstances and the normal lives in the way, to be honest, it's actually because Neil's going on holiday. We're not in person. And we
I love that filthy lie that you just froze it in there.
I mean, I am going on away on holiday, but
no, it's not the sole reason.
it's not the sole reason. Other stuff happens.
Yeah.
And
then the next weekend,
I don't mind.
the next weekend, I'm on holiday. So so we're recording remotely. So obviously comes with the welcome to COVID era recording style, where we're all remote.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a while. It's reaffirmed my hatred for this way of recording.
If we couldn't do it in person, I don't think we'd run a podcast anymore.
I was talking to Kelly about this. And I was like, okay, so we're not going to be able to record together. We're going to have to probably record on Saturday night and Sunday night to kind of get the episode out. And Kelly was like, why the fuck bother? And I was like, why bother? No. We bother because we care. We bother because if we didn't have our soapbox, anger would rip apart my entire life. So this is my couple of hours of therapy. Exactly. So that was a real kind of tangent to get to the point of saying the next monthly hobby hangout is July 27th, which is, not technically the next one, but the one that you'll probably be the next one for the next one you'll hear. So the actual hobby hangout is next Sunday, which is the 29th.
Yes.
So if all goes well, this would in theory be out, maybe.
Yeah.
So it will either be in a few days' time on the 29th of June, or if you're listening to this late, fuck you, listen on launch, and it will be on July 27th at 8 p.m.
So come and hang out.
Come and hang out, pretend to paint. That's always a good thing. Yeah. I would say that it is, I can't remember where this line of thought was going. 8 p.m. It's on Google Hangout or Google Meet, whatever the new fucking term for it is now.
Yeah, Meet.
The link will be in the Discord probably first, and then they'll also be posted into the safe room on Facebook. If you're not on those and you do want to join us, then just let us know. Drop us an email on the Adeptus Terra podcast @gmail.com, and then we can send you the link directly if need be. So that's the hobby hangout. which is the only news that we have. So I guess we're going to go straight into our Legion of 3 section.
Yeah.
What I kind of want is like a, the kind of noise. Like,
You want a little soundboard
Yeah.
where you can play like the occasional fart.
yeah, but like Legion of 3, wah, wah, wah. It'd be good.
I bought nothing this month.
Yeah. Wah, wah, wah. Yeah, it'd be
no.
great.
It'd
Anyway,
be intolerable.
I
It'd
think
be
that is
intolerable.
a really good segue in to talk about the purchases for the month. So, Neil, how much did you purchase?
I purchased absolutely nothing.
Congratulations. I was under the impression I too had purchased absolutely nothing. However, I have just spotted from the corner of my eye a small pot of Vallejo Model Air Black.
Oh, that's
Which is technically a purchase for Warhammer, so it does count. It was an accident. I didn't actually mean to purchase it. It was in my basket on Amazon, and I bought other things.
it just came along.
And it
for
came
the ride.
along for the ride. It was delivered with concentrated bubble mix because Ray loves bubbles. Yep.
Good shout.
A hedge trimmer and also a bag of sand. Oh, but sorry, not the sand. That was another thing. A bag of bird feed. So a rather eclectic mix of the packer who was packing the Amazon parcel must have thought, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, why is this paint here?
Yeah. So yeah, I did technically buy something. There might have been something else. No, it was definitely just that. Yeah, we don't count White Dwarfs, do we? They're just magazines.
Nah,
You
yeah,
know,
that's just like whatever. And not
Yeah.
unless anything really jumped out in that purchase.
No. So the Model Air Black. The
I was
reason
gonna
why.
say, it's got to be black, right? Replace all that black you've been painting.
Yeah, it's mainly because I'm going to use it to spray the bases before. I was going to like a schmuck paint more black onto the bases because they've obviously got overspray from the Zenithals and the reds and stuff. And I thought, no, do you know what? I have an airbrush and it's relatively okay. So I'll get like a 0.3 needle or something like that and just go really, really slowly and airbrush the bases, and it will be perfectly fine. Or another thing, I had contemplated ripping everyone off their bases and starting again, but we're not. We have not got time for
No,
that.
God, no.
We have not got time for that.
God, no.
So that was my purchases. Matthew, what have you purchased in the last
So
month?
I've been a bit more grandiose. I think I was purchasing this during last episode, so people will be aware of it. But my Space Wolves Army box set has arrived.
Oh.
I'm very, very excited. I'm so excited that I have not opened the box. I literally just took it out the cardboard box it was posted in just before we started recording. Mainly because of obviously the impending doom of an heresy event and needing to focus on Death Guard and heresy rules.
Yep.
Having not played for a while, well, until this month. Spoiler. But so I've decided to just leave the box sealed, shut, and I don't actually plan to open it until after that event.
Oh,
So when you said July 27th, I thought I will be building Space Wolves.
yeah, because that'll be the week after, right?
That'll be the week after. Well, yeah, it's the weekend after. Yeah.
Yeah, it's on the 19th, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I probably. Do you know what? We're going to get to talk about painting. Let's go straight into painting. I'll do that now. Or models worked on. I was painting the black on these models, and I come to a realization that I never actually paint anything that I enjoy painting. Like,
That's not true. That's not true.
I get to the point with my models that I've committed to doing something, and then it kind of sucks the joy out of painting a little bit. And I was looking at the characters on for Astra Militarum, and I kind of think next after Blood Angels are done, I might go and buy a couple of characters and just paint them up. So
just
like
have some fun with single models.
yeah, it's kind of like the Preacher. The Preacher's quite cool. There's quite a few proxy models that you could do for that. So like the new Sanctifiers kill teams came out or is in pre-order at the moment.
Yes.
And the Preacher in that with a giant mace is singing from a giant. Is he singing from? Yeah, he's reading from a book. Pretty cool. I thought that would be quite a good one to do. And then maybe I could do a command squad, a command squad out of the rest of the retinue. And then almost have it like a religious command squad with
like a zealous command squad bolted onto your regiment.
Yeah, and then have the
Who
Preacher.
some go
attached to him.
yay, and others go, oh, it's them lot again.
Yeah. Because I was like, I've got the models. I don't really want to play them as a kill team. I mean, I could do, and there's enough in there, like model wise, to have like someone's carrying a standard, the preachers in there. Someone's like you could count as a HQ close combat guy. Like it's
Yeah,
actually,
well, you need a couple of elites, don't you, for command squad? Isn't there like 2 veteran guardsmen?
yeah. So I think it'd be really cool. And there's there's a plasma gun in there. There's like a flamer chainsaw thing.
There's your vets.
So I was like,
Nice.
actually, rather than having the same command squad, like replicated, having that attached with a preacher would be quite cool. So yeah, that was the kind of thought process of actually starting to try and paint something that I want to do, which is rather than something I have to do. So all of the black on my 75, 78, I can't remember anymore. The infantry, jump pack guys, plus the missile squads, plus the apothecaries is now done. So I just need to start the steelization of them, which I'm hoping goes way quicker than the black.
Yeah, it should do. I mean, what I think what you're feeling is very much what I was feeling last month.
Yeah.
Which is trying to batch paint an entire army, although it all progresses at the same time and does feel good.
Yeah.
Once I broke it down and I just went, right, these 10 models, I'm getting to oil wash ready.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to move to the next 10. So I'm still kind of batch painting the army, but in blocks of 10.
Yeah.
That massively changed it. And this month has been far easier in terms of motivation. Certainly not time, but motivation because of doing that. You know, going, right, I'm going to do the 10 greens.
Yeah.
Right, now I'm going to wash my brush and now I'm going to do 10 blacks or whatever. And then those guys, right, put them to the side. They need transfers. Get the next 10 squad, start the process again, do 10 greens. And it just broke up the painting enough where it was still interesting.
Yeah. I think so I'm in the Hut and Hearthguard WhatsApp community thing. And they have a painting competition that they run every month, and it kind of contributes to like points and stuff. And last time, so I was the leader for a very long time, because I completed my entire guard army in like 2 months, and then was just like, here's all of it submitted. So my intention is, I'm now not, because other people have been working like at a consistent rate. Like, who the fuck is that? But what I'm going to do is I'm then just going to upload an entire like 2,500 point heresy army, and then I'll take back my throne again. Is the intention. So yeah.
Can I just come in and late and just post my whole 2,500 point?
Yeah,
in like 1 month.
Why not? Like if you can,
boom, leaderboard.
If you can join the WhatsApp group, why not? That's all I've worked on.
They're just doing black for 70 odd models.
Just so
that's still quite impressive. That's
do
you
know how many wet palette sheets?
How's your brushes? How's your brush?
Nah, that's fine.
Okay.
Like they're all right. I wash them. I've got a little bit of soap.
I'm starting to get to a point where these brushes will probably get retired after this project.
Yeah.
Talking about purchases, actually, I got a few Father's Day gifts that are hobby related.
Nice.
I didn't.
No, I just picked up. The only reason that triggered is because I got some of the synthetic brushes from Games Workshop.
Okay.
Nice.
Jenny got them through the Element link.
Good, Jenny.
As well as a spray primer for all my casualties.
Cool.
I just brought a rattle can because I'm not airbrushing prime the casualties. So yeah, I got that, and some synthetic brushes for some of the oils and pigments and things that I want to use. I feel like, well, from reading online, synthetic brushes will stand up to those a little bit better than normal hair brushes.
Yeah, I just like, part of me wants to invest in decent brushes, like, and go and do it, but like I've kind of crept up the scale with the Redgrass Games ones, and like they're not like withstanding. I don't know. It's probably just the way I paint. Maybe I just can't be trusted with nice stuff. Maybe I'm just like, I don't know.
This is why we can't have nice things.
Maybe that's it. Maybe I'll just live on GW brushes.
Do you use the Masters brush cleaner?
I do. It just doesn't feel like it does anything. Like, I don't know. Again,
I've started storing my brushes upright, and I have noticed the difference in terms of their tips.
Sorry, would have been upright.
Like,
as in like brush up, nib down,
no.
Nib up,
nib down.
Oh, nib down. Oh, so hanging.
Yeah.
Okay.
Vertical rather than just laying in a box.
Right, but you're just to clarify.
How are you
the bristles are not smushed into the floor.
No, they're hanging like this off the ground.
Okay, cool. That's fine. Using a
Like this is bristles down.
bristles
but not
down
on the floor
in
with the plastic thing.
I assume of some kind of hanger.
Yeah, I got like a clip that they
Right.
just clip into.
Okay, that's good because I thought you were going full barbaric and just being like, "Fuck
No,
you,
God, no.
brushes, like flatten over time. Gravity
God,
hates
no.
you."
Yeah, just in a mug, like just
Yeah.
at an angle so
Yeah.
you get that curve. Yeah, no.
Oh
That's how I
yeah.
store mine.
Oh yeah. Your little pegboard.
Yeah.
You haven't
Yeah, but I
that
have
paint
noticed
that
they've
primer
been,
looks like it's thinning. It's like you haven't painted anything in a while.
Yeah, they've been keeping their tip
haven't used
way
that great.
better.
I haven't used that great primer in a very, very long time.
Yeah, I feel maybe the same as you. I feel like nearer the end it would have been minimum. Well, because it painted those two brushes also painted the guard as well. So it's probably coming up to like 300 models that I've used them for.
Pretty good in it.
What is good though? What is good? Like, should they last forever? Like, should they? If I look after them, like, should they just be?
I don't know, but I
knows?
just use brushes until they can't be used
They
anymore
just
and then get a new one.
Yeah.
Until
But
they just
I've
die.
loved using the broken toed brush. Like I've painted majority of the entire force with that one brush.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, when I get to the oils and the weathering, I'll be using the synthetics, so that'll change. But pretty much, I've used that and my Artus Opus 001 or whatever it is for some tiny little bits. But majority has been with one single brush, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Nice.
Which it's been brilliant. Like I wish I had 10 of them so I could just change them over eventually.
Yeah.
Because you can't get them no more.
No.
Oh.
Matt, you go.
Oh god, yeah. Well, so originally in my notes I had this all detailed, and then I decided that this is ridiculous and no one's going to want to listen to. I did this on this squad and this on this squad. I've been working on the entire Death Guard force. I am 10 models away from Oil Wash, or as I put in my notes, Oil Wash City.
Fair enough.
But I do have about 30 needing transfers first. So I've got 10 dudes. It's a missile squad that still need their silver highlight, brass highlight. I think that's it. And then they're fully painted in terms of, before the oil wash. And then those 10 and a 20-man attack squad still need their transfers.
Right.
I've enjoyed doing the transfers. That's been a big push. I was finding that easier to do during the day, like with the kids, and just do a couple of guys and then put it down and move on to something else. It's a bit easier to leave than like doing actual painting. So that's been quite easy. So I've just been filling those gaps of the days and moments with, I'll just put some transfers on. But I've so my force is 87 models, I think, 89. It's around that. So, and most of them have 2 transfers each minimum. So yeah, I'm over 100 transfers done this month.
Wow, that's crazy. Transfers are so I hate them. There's never come out right.
Genuinely, they've been fun. Like microcell, microset, just cutting out the 10. And again, I've been doing them in like blocks of 10. So I'll get 10 of the Legion symbols, cut them all up individually, put one in the water while that's soaking, put your microsol on or your microset, whatever. I'm not looking at them. So
set first.
I think it's set first, but the numbers are on the bottles. It says 1 and 2. But yeah, whatever one's first, I always get it around the wrong way. Put that on, get the thing out of the water. I use warm water so they come off a little bit quicker, and then just straight onto the shoulder pad with tweezer done, and then move on to the next guy. And it's just been that simple. I think I've wrecked 2 out of like over nearly 200 I've probably done.
Well, it's not bad.
So I can't I just got into a rhythm and got used to it, and other than 1 or 2 that, like say, I wrecked, there was probably 1 or 2 on top of that I found difficult, got frustrated with, but saved.
Fair enough.
But yeah, and I just got them all done. And then once the squad had all of the symbols on, then I did the second stole, I think. And then, put them away. So I've done, I've been, before then I had to paint a bunch of stuff. I have done a ton of models. I think in that list, I've probably painted about 50 and then I guess, transferred about 50. So it's been been a busy month trucking away. I really wanted to get to this recording and have everything ready for oil wash, having all the transfers done. And this week I would have achieved it if I didn't have what happened this week.
Yeah.
So
I had grand plans about it being finished painted by now, so I could have a month of gaming before. But it's just a time sink. I don't get it. Like, it's a completely me thing. Like, other people can paint more armies faster, like paint faster. And like it's even like to the point where I have a really shit day at work. Like, this week's been really shit at work. Just not shit, sorry, busy at work. This week's been really busy at work. Like, I keep getting to the point of like lunchtime and being like, right, I have half hour, if that, 15 minutes, half hour, and I was like, I could paint, or I could play computer games, or one lunchtime, I just went and sat outside. Like,
that's lovely, isn't it?
Like,
it's been lovely weather.
Not just doing nothing. It like literally just went and sat outside 15 minutes, like on the concrete pad out the front of the office, like just laying on the concrete pad. Like, I was like, it would have looked really fucking weird to anyone look at it. Anyone saw that, but I was like, I just need to not look at anything and concentrate on nothing for a while. So
sometimes you have weeks like that, you have months like that. I think you probably hurt yourself by going, right, I must get all black done.
Yeah.
I genuinely think if you'd just gone, right, I'm going to do 10 guys to oil wash, move on. So you're still breaking down the project, but you're focusing on a few at a time. Because what I found is I went, oh, it's only 2 more guys that need that brass. I can knock that out in 20 minutes, half hour, whatever, and then put them down again. Whereas when it's like, oh, I've got 40 done, but I've still got 35. Like, you think, well, I'm not going to make a dent in that in half an hour, so why bother? I had to switch, otherwise I would not be anywhere near where I am now. I'm still very nervous to get finished, by the way, but
you'll do it.
Yeah, we'll get done. We'll get there.
You'll do it.
Yeah, it'll be fine. I will just, try harder.
Yeah, I mean, that is the main reason I haven't opened the Death Guard box. I was just like, if I open, not Death, I said Death Guard, Space Wolf box, because if I open it, I'm going to want to build the models. I love the building and aspect, and I will just start building. And then, like you said, I could just play computer games. For me, it would have been, I can just build some Space Wolves, because that's far more fun.
Yeah.
As well as like making a list with the new codex and doing all those things. Like, I would get so invested in that I'd start forgetting my Death Guard rules and forgetting the Heresy rules. And so I was like, that's like, back, you demon, you stay behind me, so I can just get this done and then look to that afterwards. But there's a 3rd edition of Heresy coming, so who knows?
Yes.
Who knows what happens?
Who knows?
I'm not even want to play 3rd edition after this.
So how many steps have you got after oil washing?
So oil washing, then I've got obviously like lenses, any flesh. There's a couple of guys with like faces, a couple of banners.
Okay,
I think that's like very little in terms of model count. Glows on, well, the very last thing I will do is the glow on the Volkite squad.
Yep.
Because I don't want to do that before I do any of the weathering.
No, exactly.
So my plan is I'm going to get the eye lenses, like banners, all that stuff done after the oil wash.
Yep.
Then I'm going to base the entire force.
Yeah.
And then all my weathering will be the last thing. And literally probably the day before or a couple of days before in that week, I will do the glow on the Volkite. Cool. So I'll probably make sure they're based first. So they're done. And then, because the weathering I want to try and get done, but I'll just be doing that up until the event, and however weathered they get is how weathered they get. Because I want to I've got like rust streaks and streaking grime, and I want them to be a bit dirty. I've got some rust powders to put in some of the crevices of the armor, and but all that stuff takes time. So I just want to make sure everything's oil washed, all the lenses and everything's done. They're based. They can go as done. And then any rusty bits, if I have to do them after the event, I have to. I'd like to go with a fully done force. Yeah. But we'll see.
Well, fair enough.
But how many steps is yours, Sam? Have you even worked it out?
Nah, that's far too much like planning. I'm going to do silver, And then I'm gonna do grey because all of my guys, because fuck transfers, have the Forge World transfer pads. Yeah, the Forge World pads. So I'm gonna do the silver on all of the weapons. So mainly assault marines. So on the bolt pistol chainswords, or axes, etc. So all the silver on those, as also on the jump packs as well, and a few like details on the guys themselves. The Blood Angel wings will get a grey and then a white. To do those, and then gonna do the oil wash at that point for everything gets an oil wash, and then I'm gonna go and do the eye lenses and the blood drip, the green, so they're the same green. So yeah, and then there's that.
Fair enough.
And then I need to. Do you know what? I've not actually touched my Leviathan. In any way, shape, or form, but it's a vehicle.
What? It's not still grey, is it?
Nah, it's black. Yeah. So, but that's fine. It's a vehicle. I can do that. I'll do that in the afternoon.
Well, yeah, you do vehicles pretty damn quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do knock them out.
Yeah.
It's very impressive.
So that the Contemptor and the Vindicator are all black. So I'll just airbrush all of them at the same time, doing red. It'll be fine. I'm not worried about those at all. Like that's what I enjoy doing.
Yep.
Honestly,
many odd infantry.
As soon as the infantry are done, I'm there. I'm finished. Like it will be really piss easy. So see to pull my finger out. I guess maybe.
Fair enough.
Do a bit of work.
Yeah, it's like 3 weeks 4 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, worst comes to worst, I'll just take the army as it is. But I'd be very disappointed in myself.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, no, I do know what you mean because there seems to be that kind of feeling of like, yeah, we appreciate and want fully painted, but yeah, as long as you've put some effort in, then if you turn up and they're not quite there, then we're not going to stop you playing, which is good, nice, friendly, accessible. But for me personally, that's like a failure. So I'm going to try really hard to not do that.
Yeah, and I think it's possible to get them to a standard. Like, I don't want to do the weathering. I don't need to do weathering or anything like that. The black that's staying black. So I'm having a black trim on all of my guys. So that will be because of the company that they are. That's in the old color plates in the Legio Astartes book. That will have an edge highlight of like was it Dark Reaper? To kind of give it a bit of a 3D-ness to it. And then there'll be a little bit of tidying up with the red, I think, again. But it'll be fine. I'll be all right. It'll be okay. Cool. I have faith in me.
Yeah.
Good. So you should.
Neil, what are you doing?
What am I doing? Well, I've just been doing 3D printing. It's very strange how tactile this feels.
Right. What is it?
Why
does it look phallic-like as well?
It's just the reflection from the light. It's supposed to be matte, but it's got a bit of a silky finish to it. I think it printed it a little bit too warm, and it's just caused it to come out a bit glossy. This is, or may not be, a barrel for a heavy bolt pistol.
Oh, you're building a bolt pistol.
Oh, your life size in
life size, yes.
Weaponry.
Yeah. And top part of it,
of the bolter. Ooh.
Yeah, with the ejection port.
That's cool.
So yeah, it takes a while. I mean, this took 3 hours to print off, and it's flipping noisy and it's hot.
Yeah,
and it just adds to the heat that's in the flat at the moment. So I'm not really doing it too often. But yeah, no, it's just something to sort of keep me within the hobby, even if I'm not got any sort of like motivation to do any painting or anything of anything at all.
I think you have to go with what motivates you. Again, like for me, I don't really paint much unless there's an event coming up or something.
Yeah,
and so I have a bunch of grey plastic because I love building stuff and making lists. So I buy new units and then I build them, and then I think, oh, when am I going to get to play them? And then they sit there, and then I sell them, and and I could easily write down the nonsense that I do in this hobby, and the waste of time and money, but I also enjoy it. So it's kind of like it's a bit of a trade-off.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think it's cool to have you doing something that's again based in the hobby, something you want to do. I'm looking forward to seeing it finished. And
I'm
yeah,
still trying to work out how it all goes together. I'm sure that there are instructions there, but it's sort of going right. Okay, where on earth does this plate go?
yeah.
This
The
bit
idea, do you
goes
build it
wrong.
around like styrofoam? Like
No,
they all
no, no,
slot
no,
on
no,
and-
no, no, no.
it's
It's
full, everything's printed.
everything's 3D printed. It's got location, little clips, pins, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
It's got rivets and screws that you print out as well for
Oh,
decoration. It's just there's a lot to print off still.
yeah. That's
Um,
cool. That's cool. I'm looking forward to seeing it done.
But yeah, Amy said to me, why are you printing off a gun?" It's like
It's not a gun.
it's a prop.
Yeah.
It's not got a receiver. It hasn't got a firing pin or a firing bolt. It's a prop.
What you should do is put the hardware for a TV remote in it. Just like the off
So you
function.
can, like,
The off
Yeah, yeah.
button, yeah.
Maybe you can get like you can get the flipper lights, can't you? So why don't you get a flipper to turn off the TV, and then just when you're sick of it at the end of the day, just be like, for fuck's sake. Yeah. You should get one of those. You know, then it has a use.
As opposed to it just sitting on the side in a mount of some description.
Yeah, on the
display
wall.
mount on the wall.
That would be
Here's
cool.
the start of the armory. Next
Yeah.
will be the fully working chain sword.
Yeah.
That will take forever to print.
Oh,
But
yeah.
But it'll be worth it.
no, it would be.
Yeah,
worth it,
that'll be really cool. It will be very cool to see. I'm looking forward to it.
But yeah,
Looking
so
forward to it.
it will happen at some point this year. This will get done, and yeah. But I just like it. Just feels really nice. It just got this weird sort of where I printed it a slightly higher layer count or thinner layers, and it's just I don't know. I just like it.
Fair
Satisfying.
enough. Oh, cool. It's good, nice to hear of something a little bit different that's going on in our hobbies. Me and Sam are, brutally trying to paint up armies of heresy, and you're there
And there's me not
3D
giving a
printing a
fuck.
prop. It's awesome. I think it's great. It's really cool to have that diversity and different things going on. You should take some pictures of those components and stick them up online, though, so people can see what you're doing.
Yes, that's
That
not
would
a
be
bad
cool.
shout.
That would
Well,
be a
it's not
very
a
cool
bad
thing to
shout.
do. Let's move into other media discussion. So anything book related, online inspiration, gaming, etc. that's related to our hobby. I don't have anything. I've not really had the time. I did download the Podbean app onto my phone and started looking at podcasts again, but I haven't started any. I obviously first followed us, so I can give that a bit of a listen and try and get back into the good habits of remembering what I said after I said it. But yeah, I think it'll be cool to get back into that and try and motivate myself through that as well. Just that I watch a lot of YouTube now, and what I find is that having it on in the background, I don't take it in, whereas having it playing audibly while I'm doing things is much more I don't know, enriching, I guess. I seem to take it in better. I can be doing some tasks at work or whatever and listening to the podcast, and I'll take in what's being said, similar to an audible book, than if I was watching a video. I have to stop and watch it, even if it's just someone talking and it's just a screen with no, not even a webcam or something. I still find myself just glued to the screen because it's playing from that device.
Yeah.
I don't know why that is. I've hard programmed myself to do that. So I'm hopefully next month I'll start kind of listening to some other podcasts and maybe something that'll jump out that'll be really cool from that. But I have nothing to share in this mini segment, so I shall hand over to one of you chaps.
Go on, Neil.
Okay, so what was I doing? I finished listening to Watchers of the Throne. It's a very very political kind of book. Not a lot of it doesn't seem to be a huge amount of action until right near the end with it, and the big unveiling of Gilliman is here.
Girly man.
So it feels. I then moved on to the Lords of Silence, which was a very different book. Again, very political, which I was quite surprised about. But it was
These are the
following.
ones all around terror, aren't they? So it's like the High Lords and all that jazz
Uh,
going on.
So the Lords of Silence is more about it's about the Death God,
Ah,
and it follows a particular group called the Lords of Silence, surprisingly enough, and how they go about destroying the White Consoles.
nice.
Um,
And wasn't
and
Silence the name of Mortarian's scythe?
probably.
I think that's called Silence. Anyway,
But yeah, there's a lot of it's a lot of interesting stuff. It kind of all sort of happens around about the same time the rift opens, and yeah, it was good, enjoyable, and I have almost finished listening to the Avenging Sun as well. I've got an hour
you've been
left on
shooting
that,
through
and that is that's the we have Primaris, da book. Again, a lot of talking, and it seems to have taken very much right up until the end, the last sort of quarter, probably at most, where this is where the action's happening now. And yeah, it's enjoyable.
Mm.
So I've been on a bit of a book high in this last month. I think shortly after the last time we recorded, I finished Talon.
Mhm.
By what's his name? That dude, John French. There we go. So I finished Talon. A very good book, heresy book. It's the one book that I don't have in my collection that I borrowed from the library. So I was like, fuck it, they have it. Why not? Let's read it. So I read it. Very, very good. It's effectively a massive tank kind of battle with Perturabo basically getting his chaos powers. So he uncovers something called the Oculus, or the Black Oculus.
Tricked by Fulgrim.
So he uncovers something called the Black Oculus, which is meant to allow him to gain chaos powers, but without having to submit to the Dark Gods. So yeah, it's quite good. It's a good book. I enjoyed it. I've also read. Obviously, we both read, Neil and I, Cadia Stands. So that one. But then naturally from there, I went and read Cadia in Honor.
Yep.
By Justin Hill, which is like the next one along. Very, very good book. Kind of picks up right after Cadia was evacuated, so you see all the people in there, like you kind of had in Cadia Stands. They kind of pick back up again in the characters and some definitely like just ripping the band-aid off and just murdering some quite nice characters that were built up in the previous book.
Oh joy!
Yeah, like literally one of them dies defending the honor of Cadia. Like Cadia in Honor. It's like the title of the book in the thing. Anyway, it's quite cool. It's quite cool. But obviously, it then starts kind of pivoting towards Minsk-Lesk more and about her and them turning up and nearly getting bombed out of the existence. What was really cool in it though is that it was really good at depicting the downfall of Cadian reputation. So like they make this thing of like when they turn up to this new planet. And normally what happens is the Cadians get off the ships first, but they basically were left standing in their launch bays like all day, couple of days, and they were the last ones off of the ship because they were like, well, clearly they can't defend their own planet, so they're not going to help us here type mentality. So it was really interesting, and I definitely think it's a worthy read. There was definitely a lot of like religious ties, hidden cults, political kind of plays, that kind of stuff with the kind of different armies. Like it was very good. I then straight off the back of that, because I had to return it to the library, read Traitor Rock by Justin Hill.
Okay.
So the next one in the series. I kind of didn't rush through it, but I read it quite quickly because I had to return it. Like it was one of those you can't extend it any further. Like I think I extended it like 3 times. So I went through it again. Picks up following Minsk-Lesk and the Cadian 101st. this picks right up after the previous Cadian Honor book. So and then it kind of again, it's very similar kind of theme where it picks up on the Cadian the impact of the Cadian destruction on the Cadians, and how like it starts mixing in Cadians that weren't there on the planet, and how the way they behave versus the way the ones that were there on the planet and were evacuated off kind of behave.
Don't know, man. You weren't there.
Yeah, it's very similar. There's definitely moments like that in there. And yeah. So it also, the main thing about that book is it introduces the concept of white shields. So new recruits who are of Cadian blood but were not born on Cadia. So like starting to replenish the Cadian ranks. So they have this concept of like you're not really truly Cadian because you weren't born there type moments. And yeah, so it was good. I enjoyed it. I probably should have read it a bit slower, but at the same time I needed to get it back. I finished listening to Gate of Bones as well, which is by Andy Clark. Very good, very very good book. It's about a tomb world, like an Imperium death world, effectively. Well, not death world, an Imperium burial world, where they go and basically like they pay millions upon billions to be buried on this planet, and basically just become like avalanches of bones and loads of crypts that are just there. Like it's not like you get like a nice little peaceful section of the grave site. It's like you're buried upon body upon body on body on body on body, and they have one scene where they're basically excavating through to find something. And it's just like going through, just digging through bones, and they have like bone dust sickness and stuff. And it's cool because this is the one where the Custodes rock up with like 5 of them, because he wasn't allowed more than 5, because otherwise he would have taken the planet on his own. And he still took the planet on his own with 5. And they turn up with, was it 100 newly minted Primaris Marines?
Newly minted.
And on the way down, they come down in Thunderhawks, and one Thunderhawk just gets obliterated, so they lose a third of the force straight away. And it's kind of like the bloodening of those, and the difference between learned tactics to actual tactics, and stuff like that. The
finesse.
The finesse. And I think it was the bit I like most about it is effectively before the Custodes and the Primaris Marines got there, it was humans. It was Imperial Guard of the, who were they? Fluffy hats. Oh,
Voistron?
Was it the Voistron? Hang on. Anyway,
destroying the
or the green ones. The
Valhallans maybe.
Valhallans.
I think it was Valhallans.
They've got like the floppy eared hats.
Yeah, I think it's Valhallans. Anyway, whatever, doesn't matter. It's basically them, and the Sisters of Battle, Iron Guard. That was it, Mordy and Iron Guard. Not floppy hats at all. Mordy and Iron Guard, it was them and the Sisters of Battle holding this world on their own, being cut off from and fighting the fighting the Word Bearers, Dark Apostle Gathron, and the Warrior Locke, who is a what's he called? Iron Warrior, yeah. So they have the Iron Warriors basically melded into their tanks, tank regiments, fighting against all these people, and then loads of cultists and stuff. And it was a very good book, very bolt upon at the beginning. I was a bit like, oh, okay, this is kind of cool. This is kind of lame. It's just going to be just shooting things. But actually, it kind of turned a bit away from that, and had like, and a Custode was killed in the fighting, and they basically all of the humans that turned against the Emperor carried the body of the Custode in like a giant stone casket down a road, basically whipping themselves, and the ones that had like actually sort of started growing chaos things were stuck up on posts and then lit on fire by the Sisters of Battle as they're walking past in this procession. And the
lanterns,
in
honor of the Custodes.
And the Custodes are stood on this balcony, and they're like, "What the fuck are we letting them do? Why are we letting them bury them here?" And he goes, "Because to them, he's a god, like basically." And it's like, "But we know, like, religion is what's caused all of this, all of these fighting that we've been doing for the last like millions of years is because of religion." and gods, and they're like, yeah, but they need this. Like, we need this for this world to be like whatever. And yeah, it was interesting. It was good. That was the last one I finished, and I've just started Wolf Time. I'm not too sure on Wolf Time at the moment. It seems very much like a boring ass space wolf book. Like, they've already had the bit about being on a boat and being Vikings, and
I'm trying to think what Wolf Time.
Are they on a boat?
Who's written Wolf Time?
Hang on, let me just look. Wolf Time, Gath Thorpe.
Oh,
yeah, they're on a boat. Well, they were on a boat. I think it was. I think it was a
definitely have not read that
metaphor.
one.
I think it was a metaphor for being on an actual ship, and them coming like in the Primaris pods or whatever. I haven't quite gotten to the bottom of that yet. There is a really cool scene though where they've got the gunners firing on the deck of a warship. Basically, like, they're just firing over and over again. And they get the call to go to the weapons lockers to get a gun. And then all of a sudden, the ship gets rammed by another ship, and I'm like, oh, okay, so we're on a Chaos ship, and the one that rammed it is a Space Wolf ship. Like, it's got to be a Space Wolf ship. That hasn't paid off yet because I haven't said that, but it's like, if anyone's gonna ram a ship, it's gonna be Space Wolves.
Oh,
so,
it'll definitely be the Space Wolves.
Yeah. Do you know what? I haven't read enough into it, but with a book title called like Wolf Time, it's got to be about Space Wolves. And the opening about being on a Viking warship, yeah.
But it's Gav Thorpe, which does surprise me because I don't know if he's written any other Space Wolf stuff.
He's King Dark Angel.
That's what I mean.
Maybe it's Dark
Well,
Angels. Maybe
Traditionally.
Well,
they have
didn't the
slightly moved
lion
away.
lion have a lion on his? Oh, that's not a wolf, is it? Fuck's sake. I'm just double checking. It's gotta be. Yeah, it's Space Wolves. It's about the Space Wolves being introduced to having Primaris Marines, basically.
Yeah, you might get some cool Ragnar stuff in there, maybe.
It might be one for you.
Yeah, possibly.
Logan
I may-
Grimnar's in it.
Yeah, well, obviously he's the Great Wolf,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it makes sense.
Yeah, we'll see. It's the next in the order. I didn't pick it because I wanted to read it. It's the next in the order. So it's quite nice to have on in the background or when I'm at the gym. So I'll just carry on doing that. And then the one after that is Knights of Macragge. Oh no, there's one more special Hug in the Dark book.
Special hugging.
Special
Throne
Hug in
of-
the Dark.
Throne of Light. It's a Dawn of Fire book. Throne of Light, and then it's Knights of Macragge. Anyway, they're books. I read quite a lot actually. Now I've read all that out. Like, I think I nearly finished like two of. So I read the Talon and Cadia, not Cadian Honor. Yeah, Cadian Honor. I read Talon and Cadian Honor at the same time as listening to Gates of Bone. All at the same time. Just because
These are all on your many trips away. Like you're in Southampton for a few days and holiday and.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I was reading 3 books at the same time, which was fine. More than capable to do that ish.
I can't do that. I
Especially
struggle.
where they're so different as well. Yeah. So then I read Traitor's Rock because again I had to return that one really quickly. And now I'm going back to just reading one book at a time.
Yeah.
So I've got Knights of Macragge on order from the library. So I'm away from next week, or I'm away soon. So I will hopefully get that before I go, which will mean I'll take it on holiday with me, and I'll probably read it on like on holiday before, on like a 2-week holiday. I read like 10 books before, so that was before having a child though, so that's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, you want to take your Legio Astartes book and read all your Blood Angel rules again and again and again and again.
Do you know? Yeah, maybe. Maybe.
Oh, it's not the fun option, I guarantee you. But
No.
yeah.
16th of
Cool.
Transit. Okay, anyway. Right. That is the models worked on in the month and other media discussions. Does
Yes.
anyone have anything else they want to talk about? Media
Well,
discussions?
so the only thing left is the games.
Games. Nice and easy. I haven't had games, and I don't think, Neil, you've had any games.
I've not had any games either, so
Go ahead then,
I
Matt.
have
All to you.
played 2 games.
Cool.
I have played 2 games. So my first game was against James and his 2,500 points to give Sisters of Silence. This is Heresy. He was allowing me to test out my Death Guard that I planned to take to the event. And it was my first time playing against Sisters of Silence, which was really cool. Glad I got to do that in this edition before the rules all kind of get changed and stuff. We played Heart of Battle out of the Siege of Cathonia book. And what blew me away is it's only 4 turns. There's no rolls for 5th turn or whatever.
Oh,
It's just a 4-turn mission.
Is that
And it has.
is that
Go on, what?
sorry? Is that a one that he's running for the event?
I got the gist that he wanted to test out the Siege of Cathonia missions
Right.
before the event.
Right. Okay.
That's all I know. I don't know if that was because he's either robbing a couple of the rules from them or using the missions as a base. I have no idea. But it was cool to play. I've never played a mission out of that book, so that was cool.
Yeah.
4 turns caught me off guard. Also, unlike your standard heresy, you scored points on the single like primary objective, which was a single objective in the middle of the board, and you scored it at the end of every player turn, which was really, really odd, and in some ways was my downfall. There were lots of reasons why I had a downfall. Don't get me wrong. James is a very good player. I am not. I'll just get that out there straight away. But I was just really shocked at the scoring at the end of every player turn.
Right.
Because it was from the first turn, James, very smartly infiltrated a unit onto the objective that was scoring. So, and he went first. So he scored 3 victory points before I'd even moved or done anything
right.
out of deployment.
Okay.
And then the game was very much him walling me off from the objective, him scoring the first couple of turns, and I just wasn't scoring.
Right. Okay. Fair enough.
So he just took a massive lead. He pinned a couple of my units. They're very good at pinning the Sisters of Silence, because if they're characters, at least the characters James runs, I don't know the rules inside and out, but the characters he had, if he was within a certain distance, I would be -1. There was night fighting, so I was already -1. So then I was taking pinning tests on -2, which even with sergeants is on a 6-up because you're -2.
Yeah.
So my units were getting pinned, which obviously then hurt my firing back. So he really did well to kind of negate my usefulness early game.
Mm-hmm.
I made a few mistakes in my deployment. I was scared because I knew I was playing James. He's a good player, and I haven't really played this force very much. And it is just a bunch of tactical Marines and heavy support squads.
Yeah.
So I was like, I need to protect my heavy support squads, kind of hide them from the combat units that are fast moving in their transports. Or he had a squad of I think they've got Nemesis Bolter, sniper guys who can pin really well. So I was like, I don't want them getting pinned. So I was trying to hide them behind buildings.
Mm-hmm.
Because I did that, I ended up with las cannons on one flank and my Volkites on another flank.
Right.
And what that meant is they couldn't see very much. So early game, they didn't really do anything. And they're my major,
Your
damage.
heavy hitters, yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of hid them away out of being too scared, too timid. By the end of the game, I'd done a lot of damage to him. I'd started getting into combat, and Marines are just a bit more survivable. My MVP was definitely one of my apothecaries. I saved 3 times the amount of saves I should have done with him through Feel No Pains. They were just rolling really hot. And I think if it had gone turn 5 and a normal mission, and maybe even a turn 6, I could have recuperated the points. Because I had the central objective. He only had, I think, a damaged transport, 7 missile ladies, and a squad of 5 sniper guys.
Right.
That was it from his 2,500. Roughly, it was nearly a month ago, so I might be getting that wrong.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of squads that were injured, but still quite a lot of squads.
Mm-hmm.
So I weathered the storm pretty well, but I just couldn't get up there and scoring points early enough. And that turn-to-turn scoring just meant I could never catch him with only 4 turns.
Yeah.
And so I feel like in a weird way, I kind of lost the game to my deployment and being too timid.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, his sisters were very, very aggressive, very punishing, lots of pinning, minus modifications. He's got a lot of kind of sword ladies coming out of transports that are fast moving, so he can get across the board and get into combat with you very quickly. It was tough, and also his reserves didn't come in until turn 4, which in a 4-turn game meant they basically did nothing. So I was massively saved from that. If that had happened, it would have been an absolute massacre if they'd come in turn 2. But yeah, I think my main takeaway was that this army, I think, will intimidate people because it's like nearly 90 Marines on the board. It looks like a horde army, and it feels very like, how the hell am I going to deal with this? And using that to my advantage, I think will be really key. And I just didn't do that against James. Obviously, James is a very veteran player, so I assumed that he would have not been intimidated by that. But where I hid the heavy weapons teams rather than sticking them front and center and being like, come for them, they're going to overwatch and do damage before they go down, I was scared to lose them. And because of that, they just, I think my las cannons, the first time they shot was turn 3 because they just had nothing to shoot.
Blimey, yeah.
And it was like, why I've nearly wasted 300 points in effective firepower because I hid it because I was too scared of getting pinned or getting charged. So that was my game against James. It was really good fun. He came down. He was fairly close by, and bless him, drove down to the skate park, and we played into the evening, which was lovely. And then luckily Tom was available on a Friday, so I kind of snuck a half day off. And we played a game. So we played 2,500 points again. He brought his event list that he's bringing to the same event of his Iron Warriors, and I brought the Death Guard. And I think I lost on deployment again, and I'll explain that.
Right.
So we had long table edge deployment. We had a mission that you each put an objective in the opposing player's deployment zone. And if you hold that, it's like 5 victory points at the end of the game. The one in your own deployment zone that the enemy placed is like, you don't score anything, but you can stop them scoring. But it has staged deployment, so you put down a unit at a time. So I put down a unit, he puts down a unit, I put down a unit, and you keep going backwards and forwards until you're all out. Well, so obviously I played James like a week before, and I was way too timid with my heavy weapons. So I was like, dick on the table, I'm just going to deploy my heavy weapons teams. So I put down my 10 Volkites, and then he went, oh, okay, I'm going to put my 2 Vindicators down right in front of them, because they can't. The Vindicators are immune to the Volkites, and they'll just delete the Volkites pretty quickly, which is what happened in the game. And I just didn't think about what I was doing, and I really feel like I lost to deployment because I was then too aggressive. So I kind of overcorrected from my previous game, which was silly, really. I'm clearly quite rusty as well. Like, putting the army down was just like I was plonking units down and not really thinking about what I was going to do with them. So my 2 Contemptors were just plonked in the middle of the table so they could go off either direction. That meant that they didn't really go anywhere.
Right, okay.
And he just reacted very well to the units I was putting down, and I was throwing out my punchy units early so he could easily hide stuff from them, put the best counter in front of them, which meant like he had Kevin the Chiton in his Iron Warriors list, which meant like my las cannons couldn't see him, my missiles struggled to see him early game, so he could just go in and mop up some of the more squishy units before I could even get any big guns to look at him, which was again just stupidity on my behalf. So yeah, it was a real learning curve on that. I will say he did bring 2 Vindicators that weren't actually in his list. He did a Sam. All those years. So he deleted my Volkite Culverins off the table in like 1 turn of shooting with them. Like the whole unit just died because it's strength 12, AP 3.
Yeah.
The blast hit directly, just murdered them. And then he went, oh, you might want to put them back on the table because those Vindicators shouldn't be there. And hilariously, he did that before. Last time we played, he brought 2 Iron Circle and his Warmonger or whatever it is, and they weren't in his list. So apparently with me, he just brings units that aren't in his list. But then he realized that he hadn't deployed his Iron Havocs, which were similar points level to the Vindicators. So we just went, keep the Vindicators in. You haven't even put this is like turn 2. Like, just we'll play with the Vindicators, and they have just been traded out for the Iron Havocs. And I don't know if that meant he was slightly lower in points or slightly higher. Like, it didn't really matter. It was about having fun, playing a game, getting to know my rules better. Like, it was really a tester game.
Cool.
But Yeah, my cheat sheets really worked. I printed out like my rules of units and weapons and all the things I have, and all the special rules that link to my particular legion as well as the units I've got. And so it's really like a gumph-free. This is just streamlined everything I need to know. If it's a rule my army doesn't use, it's not on my cheat sheets. And that really, really helped a lot. And I found by the end of my game with Tom, I feel quite competent with the army in terms of knowing the rules, knowing what they can do, what the limitations are to some of those rules, like their legion rules and stuff, which was really, really good. I'm just clearly a bit rusty, and I feel like in both these games I played this month, I have felt like I lost before we'd even rolled dice.
Yeah.
Like I just deployed my army too timidly against James, and so suffered for that. And there's loads of other things in that. That's not me simplifying it, but I think these were my major issues. And then I deployed too aggressively and kind of showed my cards too much to Tom, so he could easily counteract that. So that's really interesting. Like it was interesting that both games had similar problems, and so adapting to the scenario, the army I'm facing, the rules like stage deployment, and how to deal with those things. I think I'm going to have to think more carefully about deploying this mass infantry army. Because actually, when you think about it, although, yes, the heavy weapons teams are obviously very destructive if they get going, it is just a squad of TAC Marines and heavy support squads. There's nothing special about it in that sense. There's no, Death Star unit or character that's not easily killed. Like my Delegatus has died both games because he's a 2-wound, 5-up invul character, and then Warlord's given away. So just being a bit more wary with him and maybe pulling him out of the combat unit and putting him in the TAC squad where there's bodies to keep him alive. Little tiny tweaks I think I'm going to play around with. I'm hoping to get maybe one more game at least in before the event, but it is only a month away. But I'd love to get another game in. Then I've played 3 in the run-up, so I think I'll feel pretty confident. But yeah, cool. 2 good games, 2 good people, and I got my ass kicked both games. So everything normal.
Everything normal.
It certainly feels that way.
Outlandish.
Oh, man.
Cool.
But yeah.
Right. Anything else you want to say about the game?
No. Just thank you to my opponents. It was good fun.
Cool. What we'll do is take a quick break, and we will come back with our Operation Kill Team segment. We're going to talk about terrain and how important terrain is.
Hi, I'm Neil, and you may remember me from such things as Who's Neil? My dog ate my hobby project, and Tau, fish or friend. I'm here to tell you about our Element Games affiliate program. So as you may know, running the podcast does incur some costs. Hosting and equipment are just 2 examples of this. To help with these running costs, we have signed up to the Element Games Wargaming Web Store affiliation program. This is where Element Games provide us with unique links to their web store, and if you use our links, then we get a percentage of what you spend, big or small, to help run and improve the podcast. The links take you to Element Games homepage or straight to the 40k products category. Simply shop from there. You can find these links in our featured posts on the Facebook Community Safe Room, on our Discord channel, and on our Instagram. Thanks for your help and support.
Hello and welcome back to Operation Kill Team. In this segment, we are going to be talking about terrain for Kill Team games, which is quite a good conversation because of the recent pre-order that's gone out and how that kind of messes with the dynamic of terrain.
Yeah, that is really interesting.
So we've got some questions to go through. We're just gonna have a general discussion, free ball it just from our experience of playing some games and various things to talk about terrain. So I'll pass over to you, Matt, and off we go.
Yeah, well, what triggered the idea of having this conversation was that I often go to the freezer in my conservatory, where we've got extra bits of food stored and feeding the children, as you must. And I walk past the big pile of polystyrene,
as you should.
Yes. But yeah, I've got a big pile of polystyrene that I've got prepped for doing a Kill Team themed board around 2 fallen warhounds. And after playing a few games, I was very much like, I don't know if this works because the terrain is quite restrictive in my feeling of like you need this type of window and you need this kind of wall and this kind of building to play, because that's my experience of playing. So I wanted to open the question up to not necessarily, more versed players, unfortunately, but as our little group, as we're learning this game mode this year, to just kind of be like, how restrictive is terrain, how important is terrain to the game as a whole. Maybe for those that have never played it, it would be good to kind of talk about that. And then just kind of maybe we'll end talking about my board and what I now think I may do for it. So very self-centered topic perhaps, but I think it's a good subject to talk about because I think terrain is very important in Guild Team.
So first question: how important is terrain in the game as a whole? So our first game, Matt, when we first tried Kill Team out and using the light rules, we used standard terrain. We didn't use the GW terrain like that they've made for Kill Team.
Did you have your box or
no?
You had
I didn't have my box at all at that point.
Ah, okay.
So we used that, and I think it was a very different game, mainly because I think the terrain that you buy for Kill Team in the Kill Team boxes specifically stops line of sight. Like that's its main job, is to stop line of sight. And the terrain we used was just like generic city ruins. So actually, while you could stand on one side of the board to the other and shoot, and it meant that actually shooting was way more powerful or overpowered in our game because there wasn't that kind of like limiting factor as to the terrain. So I think the it's important to limit the kind of balancing to actually have a balancing across armies that maybe are better at shooting than others or better at close combat, etc., etc. So I think it is quite important.
Yeah, I think for me, I think they've done a lot of work in terrain and the classifications of terrain, and you've got heavy cover, light cover, thing like those kind of classifications where you need it quite clearly so that there's no ambiguity either. So the two players can know, well, I'm in hard cover, so I get this bonus, and no one can argue that because that's the bit that they've shown. Or I'm shooting from this window, which means X, Y, Z. Like you can follow the rules very clearly on the terrain, the exact terrain, the windows, very, very well. If you have the stuff. And I guess this is where the conversation goes interesting, because like you say, if you play off just standard terrain and you don't follow the little map card things that you get if you purchase the boxes, I'm assuming. So, you get different maps for your terrain and it tells you where to put the different buildings. They obviously come with that box set of buildings.
Yes.
So if you don't have that, you've just got to kind of freeball it. I think certainly in the new, like if you're new to the game, that's really, really hard to do and not have a situation where, you can shoot across the map, or your close combat guys are just never going to get there, or close combat guys will always get there because there are no firing lanes. Like I think those cards and the designed terrain for the game are very, very good, but that means that doing it yourself maybe is very, very difficult.
Yeah. My sort of view on it is it's almost like Warhammer 40k is macro. So you get an overview of a battlefield, but it's not high detail.
Yeah.
You've got, these are elements of there's terrain here, but it's not super detailed. It allows you to be able to move through it. Whereas Kill Team is micro. You're micromanaging one squad, and the terrain detail has increased to be allowed to have all these extra nuances.
Yeah.
And that's the consideration, as you said, you need to take into account to make it a more balanced environment.
Yeah, I think it's really, really good the way it works, and it makes you feel very immersed in the game because you scaling over that wall and measuring the exact inch and dropping down out of terrain, ignoring the first 2 inches, but then your vertical drop because you're jumping off of a ledge or whatever. Like all those kind of little nuanced rules are really, really cool and makes it feel like that model is really moving through terrain rather than I go here, I measure 6, take away 2 inches because I'm going like it's really, really fun because of those things. But I do think if you're not using the terrain that they have photographed in the rule book, that they don't have in the boxes, you then, unless you're experienced in the game type, you may easily come into problems.
Yeah. I think this game is made to use the terrain they provide in the boxes. And the layouts and the missions are all kind of built around you owning one of those boxes and playing the missions their way. Like this is not a get your Coke cans out, build yourself a little bit of terrain, blind of sight blocking terrain. This is almost a board game. Yeah. Like I'd actually go as far. It is a board game with some variation.
It's a game, isn't it? That's what I'd probably call it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Boxed game. I think that's it because it's like you could make your own terrain if it followed their kind of a footprinting, and their kind of way of doing it. So basically, if you already owned it and go, you know, actually, I kind of hate this terrain. I want to make a jungle board. Then I'm going to use the same blocks to make rock formations out of, or using ruined buildings or whatever, or and I think it's a box game. You need to play with their terrain or their layout of terrain to make it work. Interestingly, the box set, the new one that's on pre-order, is out of stock already. But it is the terrain they list as Killzone upgrade terrain.
Yeah.
So it's not made to be standalone terrain. It's made to be played with your other terrain. And I'm guessing it says in there about it's designed to work with the mission pack and the dossier. So the books that come with the box. So I'm guessing it basically has like rules for like how that terrain affects your models.
We'll have stuff like the feeder spikes are light cover, and it must have all that kind of
or it's going to be like throw something down the spore vent, like as a mission or something like that. So
areas of dangerous.
It'll be really interesting to see how it works. So we're obviously talking about the
Kill Team
Tyranid terrain, Typhon. With the new Raveners versus the Admech Servitor squad, which it all looks very, very cool. But it was really interesting to see that after having obviously played primarily on very boxy ruins, because that's what the box that Sam has, and we've been able to play through that. It feels very, very different. So I'm not surprised that it's called like upgrade, and it's like to add flavor to your board, not necessarily to replace the other terrain that you've got. It's interesting. So I feel like it's easy to understand the different types of terrain. I didn't struggle with that as a noob to this game system. It's fairly easy to interact with the terrain and get used to it in game types. And it's pretty easy to set up if you've got the box terrain with the cards, because it tells you exactly where to put them, the bits of scenery and how spread out they are and where the objectives go and all of that stuff. As soon as that goes away and you are trying to be more creative, I think it becomes very, very difficult, and it would almost be an acceptance of going, we're either not playing properly, but that's okay because we're learning, or this is a themed board that plays around with those rules and would need explaining before you started playing, so you knew that bit of scaffold is counted as light terrain.
You could do it as a campaign.
Yeah.
I'd see that working as a campaign with like 2 or 3 people that you play often, and you've all kind of agreed it together at the beginning. Or you basically turn up to like some open game, like, right, here's my rules for my terrain. Don't worry. And you have to be really careful not to make it look like it's benefiting you. Like, this one means my guys get 3 out cover. You don't get anything from it though, because it's Tyranid only.
Yeah, I think I just wish because I really really like the terrain and the way it works in Guild Team. I really do, but I do feel like it does restrict that creativity because as soon as you've got a bit of ambiguity, you're going to have problems.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's a shame. Like because I think in past game eras of Kill Team, it was very creative. You made your list that was very creative, and you'd create these themes and potentially narrative missions around destroy the gun piece or whatever. Obviously, with this, they've got their narrative campaigns that are written, but they're written to go with their terrain. And the normal game is very much like, yep, get the box set, play out that terrain, and you'll have no issues. So I think as someone who wants to be a bit more creative and play on different looking boards, it's quite difficult, it feels, to do that.
Yeah.
And that's a shame, I guess. Yeah, because I'm thinking of, again, this is where the self-centered part of this topic comes in. Yeah, I want to do 2 Fallen Warhounds and do kind of jungle, fungal, forest, and I was going to do that with the Catachans anyway. And the plan is to maybe come back round to them as well. But
Yeah.
also the Orc Wreckers could come into this. And what I was debating doing is actually putting up like orky kind of scaffold and have them like looting the Fallen Warhounds.
Yep.
Because then that would give me more like building templates where there's platforms and edging and boards up on the side like proper scaffold, or obviously orky themed.
Yep.
But that would then translate, I think, better into the type of terrain we've been used to playing in, like the buildings.
Yeah. Okay.
And going, this part is the stronghold, and this bit is the light terrain or whatever.
I think as long as you can use the same footprint, that would work.
Yeah, well, I think I can be a little bit. I think the footprint you can play around with. I think a little bit.
Yeah.
Like if you're using it, you're having one of your buildings is slightly thicker, like wider or whatever, because you're building it over the top of a warhound body.
Yeah.
As long as the gap between that and the next bit of terrain matches what should be on the board. But as long as those gaps aren't played with and the lanes of fire aren't played with too much,
I think that's it. The terrain
probably get away with it.
The terrain for me is there to prevent lanes of fire, to create lanes of fire, and then to add height advantage to it.
Yes.
Yep.
So I think as long as you can do that with your terrain, like if your board is completely flat, bar standing on top of a warhound, that probably isn't going to work. Like I think the highest level you get is what, two second story floor, 1 second story floor.
Yeah.
I think your biggest one is like there's like one space for one dude on the 3rd story.
Yeah, something like that. So I think you need to be able to replicate that, because I think that is also quite important as well.
Yeah, which I was thinking, well, if you've got the warhound, the scaffold can just keep kind of coming up. That's not that hard. And things. Yeah, I don't know. I had a bit of inspiration because I was like, do I really? And I still might not do the board for this now, and I might create a new 40k board and use it actually for like a 40k sized board with Fallen Warhounds and jungle themed.
The only thing you could do is look at the Beta Decima terrain.
Okay.
Because that is about gantries and platforms.
Yeah, like walkways and things.
Yeah. So it has like C sections which you can't step into, which you could use as like your bushes. And then have your gantries over the top of like your warhound or your down warhounds, and then have your gantries over the top, and then it's just got like flat sections. That could work.
Yeah, maybe that would be worth looking into.
Because there is rules around jumping, isn't there?
Yeah.
So
there's rules around jumping, which is really cool, and falling, and yeah, I think I was just looking at it and I was thinking, well, yeah, other than these warhounds, I'd have line of sight blocking in terms of I found some really cool resin, like big giant fungal flutes and like sci-fi looking plants and stuff, and they would count as line of sight blocking terrain, which you might be able to peek through little gaps, but we would play as line of sight, that's where you get the this is what it is kind of thing. But yeah, I was just thinking there's not really any height, and that's a real big thing in Kill Team. So I don't know. I want to revisit it and think: do I want to invest this time to do a really cool, unique looking board, which would be really, really fun as a project, but also if it's not really going to work, I'm going to build a thing that I'm never going to touch again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to get it right, which is then obviously what spun off this idea of talking about terrain for Kill Team.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, I mean, I've really enjoyed having guys up in buildings and hiding behind walls, and I think the terrain just works really, really well, particularly the box you've got. But I quite like a Cities of Death vibe as well, so that's been really, really cool. Yeah, I don't know. Did you find early on? So I mean, we've still only played a few games, so I suppose it is still early on. But very first game, I felt like classifying the terrain was so easy because we had the box,
The
and
terrain,
the books. Yeah,
it did it for you. Like there's a page in the rule books that literally says this building in your box is this terrain type.
Yeah.
These walls do this. Like it was really. I think if you didn't have that, I think you'd be missing out on like a part of the game.
yeah,
So what you could always do is almost do your own version of that. Take photos of your terrain and then write up a little blurby next to it, so you can have like if you had someone new that kind of say Neil came over and
you can just send them to it the week before or whatever.
You could be like, here's
the
your
layout.
terrain. Yeah.
That'd be really cool. Like something like that, I would love to have, because then you could have little story behind the board why it's like the way it is. This counts as this counts as that, and then so everyone's up to the same speed, so no one's got that advantage either. But yeah, I think without the GW and it's very smart, I guess. Without the GW produced stuff, it would actually be, I think, much harder to get your head around terrain in Kill Team than it is if you have their stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's really well done by them, to be honest.
It's a box game. It might even come underneath box game section on the website, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, that's why they give you 2 kill teams, I guess, right? You get 2 kill teams, you get the terrain, that's it, and you dust it off and you play some games, and But I guess it'd be cool to reach out to some of the guys that play like they've got kill team leagues, and they're like very well versed into kill team, and there's a couple of YouTube channels that are like just do kill team stuff, and to see how they're kind of dealing with potentially playing alternatively to G-Dub stuff, or if they're all just they bought the box because they're good GW fanboys, and so they buy the box, and then they've got all the rules they need, so they can just get on with the game. It'd be interesting to see how many people are kind of trying to be creative with terrain, or just go, it's much simpler just doing what they want you to do.
Yeah.
That'd be an interesting topic to have a chat. Maybe I'll try and do some research and come back perhaps with that later in the year. But I don't know. Anything else stand out to you about terrain, Kill Team?
I do think that because like the maps are very similar and kind of exhaustible, that you could end up getting burnout from playing the same game over and over again.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I love 6 missions. Like I love the 6 mission format from like 7th edition. Like I like that. I know I'm gonna get like Relic.
I actually quite liked 3 when it was 5th edition.
Yeah,
I didn't mind 3 different missions. Was fine.
The missions don't necessarily bother me because then I know what I'm doing and how to achieve it. But I think the terrain, 3 missions or however many missions there are, with then having 4 different terrain layouts, I think at that point you are then just playing the same game over and over again.
It can get it's particularly if you're playing the same kill team again and again, because you're probably taking the same primary op and secondary op and all of that stuff. Like you're going to take the ones that you know you can do well, and so the terrain, if the stronghold moves from the bottom left to the middle, it doesn't really change or affect how you're going to play. It affects how you deploy, I guess, but other than that, you're going to interact with it the same every time.
Yeah.
So I can imagine monotony can become a problem. But then if it's really, really hard to diversify from that, you're probably going to just stick to it.
Yeah, but they've kind of helped you diversify from that because they've given you there's
multiple
four?
box sets.
There's 4 box sets now. All of them, most of them have the ability to buy the terrain and not the actual models in there and the books in there. So you can get Killzone, Compound Siege, or you can get the Geller,
Yeah, they did the
whatever it is,
Mechanicum one,
Gallo
didn't
Dark.
they?
The
Beta Decima,
Yeah,
which
that'd be cool to look into.
which is the platform one, which could be good rules for you.
Yeah, they you can also play the ZM version as well.
Oh, okay.
So I think you've got the cards for that.
Probably.
I'm pretty sure they come in that box. They're like the alternative side is the ZM like walls and stuff.
Yeah.
I vaguely remember.
Okay. Yeah, I think they've given you the options, and actually, if this is your thing, expanding out is perfectly fine. I think because it's not necessarily our only thing we do.
Yeah.
It's probably okay because the amount of times we're going to have games, it probably isn't going to be a problem. But if this was your game, if this is the thing you play the most, then I think you'd have to figure out something.
Yeah, well, it makes those again, and this is where it's clever. It makes those scenery boxes way more worthwhile. Because it's going to give you a different way of playing where you're going to have easy setup rules, exact classifications. You know your game's not going to get slowed because you're using different terrain, but you get to use different terrain, so you're playing in a different setting, and that's, I think, really, really cool. I guess I naively expected to be able to go, well, I've got a load of Cities of Death terrain from like 3 editions ago. Like, I'll be able to use that, and that'll be fine.
Yeah.
And in some senses, yes, you can. It's not that hard to do. You just need to sit down and do it. Having the right footprint of size of building, let alone, because it gives you, even in your ones, you have like where to put the little stepping stools so you can see over the half blown walls, like stuff like that. Like it goes down to that kind of detail where it's like, without that exact terrain, you're gonna slip up somewhere. And I suppose if it's not your game and you're just chilling and playing, it doesn't massively matter, is the counter argument. But
no.
Making it simpler and easy to understand, I think, is really important, particularly in a game where there are a lot of kind of in-depth interactions.
Yeah.
Where you're using different action points to do different things, and different rules will allow you to explode 6s and all that jazz. To not have to think about terrain very much is a really good boon to have. It's just very well produced, and I guess I was not surprised, but they've done this very well to go buy our boxes, buy our cards, don't worry about it, don't get too creative, just do that and play the game and enjoy the game. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But it has made me now go, oh, God, if I was going to create my own board, this is way harder than I originally thought it would be.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Anything else you want to chuck in about terrain or anything around that for Kill Team?
I've been toying with, the standard terrain, you get a, like the VATs that are there.
Oh, yeah.
Which are basically pointless because you can't what are you going to do? Put a single model in there and just have them stuck in a vat? Like, it'd be weird. So I'm thinking about trying out resin and filling it with resin to make it like it's got something in it.
It's like bubbling up or something.
Yeah, I've never worked with resin before, but I was looking at it the other day and I thought, this is really fucking stupid, just having an empty container.
That'd be a cool little extra thing. I've got the kind of half dead gene stealer that's inside the clear perspex thing, objectives or whatever they were. Way back when, and I've always wanted to like paint that all up and then fill that with resin so it's like floating in the water as it's supposed to be, rather than just being glued in.
What would be cool is to do it with like glow in the dark resin.
Yeah.
Like charge up from the sun or something like that and just put like a little UV light on
it. UV. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah,
I mean the terrain does look really good. Like, it is plastic, it's got lots of detail. You can quickly dry brush it and move on, or you could spend hours and hours on it, and I do like that. But yeah, I don't know, it's just, I guess it throws me off sometimes, Kill Team, because I really want to get invested and I really want to do it, but I need to buy the G-Dub products and half of them disappear before you can get them, and then
Yeah.
don't really reappear.
Yeah.
And also, there's a little bit of rebellious in me that wants to go, I want to play it my way. The terrain, particularly in Kill Team, I feel is very inflexible because it's good, if that makes sense. Like it's been very well thought out and very well laid out so that you can concentrate on your game and have an immersive, fun time.
Yeah.
But I just kind of want to do something a bit different that they don't offer, like Fallen Warhounds and I don't know, just things they don't technically offer, and that makes it difficult with interacting with the rules, which makes it a harder project.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, if you've got nothing else to add, I think that was an interesting conversation. If any of you guys listening along have played more Kill Team than us, and you've used some of your own terrain, or you again have found similar to us that the box sets are the best way of playing and interacting with the terrain in Kill Team and the rules, then yeah, let us know. Get involved in our Discord and Facebook safe room. Get onto our Hangouts. It would be a great conversation to continue there and hear from more learned people than us three noobs at Kill Team. We'll take a quick break and come back with our spotlight.
I've got a brand new combine harvester and I'll give you the key. Alright there, my lover. Sometimes farming is hard work and I need a midweek break. So we started Mike's Midweek Hangouts as a midweek haven from the hustle, bustle and loud noises of the farm. These gatherings are held in Facebook rooms. You can join from the link found either in the Adeptus Terra podcast safe room or found in the Hobby Hangout channel on the Discord. If you want to get some midweek hobby progress in, why not grab your scrumpy and join Mike on a Wednesday from 8:30. See you there, my lover. Come on now, let's get together.
Hello and welcome back. This is the Spotlight segment for this episode, and today we're looking at The Rock.
Dwayne
Not
The Rock.
Dwayne,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
not Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Personally, I think you're a fucking idiot.
Ah, perfect, on form as usual, Neil.
Name that film.
But no, not those rocks. So this is The
Final
Rock
Fast and
officially.
Furious.
Officially, that's what I say. Officially known as this. We explain this a little bit later. So also known as the Angelicaster Tower of Angels, which is a massive mobile fortress monastery and home of the Dark Angels Space Marines. It was once part of the Dark Angels' homeworld of Caliban, upon which sat the fortress monastery of the Order, the elite monastic order of knights, which was led by the Dark Angels Primarch Lionel Johnson before he was rediscovered by the Emperor. Now, the old fortress serves as a massive mobile fortress monastery, outfitted with the most advanced Imperial technology, including a warp drive, gravity generators, and void shields, so that it could serve as a mobile headquarters as they hunt down every one of the fallen. The Rock serves as the primary source of imprisonment for every one of the fallen hunted down by the Dark Angels chapter and its Unforgiven successor chapters. As usual, we'll dive in around the history of the Rock, all the way to where we find ourselves in the lore of the current 40k setting. So to start us off, Sam's going to kind of take us all the way back before the Rock was a floating engine-based big gunship.
Ancient history of the Rock. Interestingly, the first known name for the Rock was actually Traitor's Rock, which is quite apt for its current inhabitants, I think. And because I've said that, that makes it lore. The Rock, known as the Aldulaka, the Rock of Eternity in ancient Calibanite, began as the original fortress monastery of the Order. While the Order had strongholds, Aldulak was the first, serving as its foundational symbol for their enduring ideals. At its heart stood the Angelichasta, or Tower of Angels, the primary residence of the Grand Master. Other masters and orders of knights. Its walls were adorned with stunning stained glass panels, each depicting the heroic deeds of their knights, including the storied actions of Lionel Johnson and Luther, as well as, and not the TV show Luther, the one that he sort of left behind, went a bit crazy, and then gave the Dark Angels a bad name. Allegedly. I mean, history's written by the victors, right? Who knows? Luther could have been trying to stop something that the Lion was trying to do, like, I don't know, murder all his brothers. But that's just a rumour. Not one we should spread. And deep within the monastery resides the Lord Cipher, responsible for upholding the order's customs and rituals, advising on protocol and officiating ceremonies. So like marrying Luther and the Lion. That was a fun, weird short story in I think, what was it?
Was it The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe?
It was Lion, the Witch, and Out of the Closet. Beneath the fortress, a path wound through dark catacombs, passing forgotten chambers and ancient cells, leading to the master's private quarters.
What? After that.
It's
The
master's private quarters.
Private quarters.
Master's given Dobby.
No, I was going down the sex dungeon route. It's fine. When the Imperium of Man rediscovered Caliban, a human-settled world near the Eye of Terror, its formidable technology rapidly transformed the planet. The Emperor's servants. I don't know how to spell either of those words, so it could be both. The Emperor's servants brought enormous machines that cleared vast swathes of the forest daily, leaving behind barren earth. Mines, call it a mine. Refineries and manufactoria soon followed, converting Caliban's resources into vital war materials for the Great Crusade. That doesn't sound that good. Like, beautiful, lush planet. Well, that's fine, we can get rid of that. Don't need any
There
of that.
were a ton of like big scary monsters that lived in the forest, but the Lion had pretty much dealt with that by the time the Emperor turned up. So yeah, they kind of just went, we need some real estate, flatten all the trees.
But it's sort of, how did the Lion agree to that? He goes, I've lived on this planet since I was born, and I love it dearly, and I killed all the monsters on here because they were hurting all my people. Flatten it.
Well, I'm assuming it's chunks of uninhabited space of forest.
I mean, that's how they get you, right? Build on that green belt. It's uninhabited, right?
Yes.
Amidst the rapid change, Al-Durak stood as the bastion of tradition. Through its exterior remained titanic excavators reshaping its interior, carving out ledges and boring tunnels deep into the mountain, expanding the fortress core. New gates and swift lifts were installed at the mountain's base, providing quick access to its subterranean levels and fortress center. Do you think it was because the Lion was sick of walking up like a million stairs?
Yeah, he was like, if you're going to bring technology,
give me a fucking lift.
Give me a swift lift.
Al-Durak quickly became a bustling selection of and processing hub for the potential aspirants eager to join newly renamed First Legion, the Dark Angels. The Great Crusade demands Great Crusade's demands necessity speeding up the selection and training of these future Astartes, making the Fortress Monastery central to this vital task. Please forgive any unfair slight that I may have given to Dark Angels and their chaotic start to being the Dark Angels.
Their chaotic start.
And the sex dungeon. What was it? Daddy's Fortress.
Master's private. Composure.
Maybe that was the problem. Maybe Luther just started referring to the Lion as Daddy.
Yeah, we should not record in the evenings.
Why does Daddy punish me?
Hurt me, Daddy.
I'll go to the Master's private quarters. Anyway, the Horus Heresy and the Ultimate Change, Neil.
The Horus Heresy and the Ultimate Change. Was that from the dominatrix outfit to the submissive outfit?
Just...
That's a lot of talcum powder used for that.
Yeah, clearly.
His armor is black, right? Is that not? Anyway, whatever. Carry on.
So, during the explosion of the Horus Heresy, where allegiances shifted and it would transpire against the regent of Caliban, Luther, and his lieutenants, that they soon faced a widespread rebellion on Caliban. Wiped him out. It was revealed that Caliban was plagued by a resurgence of the great beast that once ran amok on the homeworld. This dire threat was further compounded by the insurgency raised against them. This dire threat was further compounded by the insurgency raised against them, which included former knights of the order who felt that the lion had betrayed them. At the center of this conspiracy was a mysterious cabal of Terran sorcerers that were somehow linked to the re-emergence of the warp-spawn beast and hordes of undead corpses. Learning of the War Master Horus' rebellion against the Emperor, Luther decided that in the best interests of Caliban, he was compelled to declare the world's independence in opposition to both Terra and their Primarch alike. Horus, first among the Primarchs and most favoured son of the Emperor, had forsworn his oaths of fealty and had instead decided to launch an interstellar rebellion to usurp the throne on Terra. Accounts were fragmentary and infrequent, but slowly the Dark Angels stationed on Caliban pieced together what had occurred during the opening days of the conflict. They heard stories of the other Primarchs and their traitor legions turning against the Emperor and against themselves. It became impossible to tell friend from foe. The Dark Angel and Caliban had heard on more than one occasion that the Lion's Dark Angels had turned from the light of the Emperor, or that the Lion had been killed. There was even heretical talk of the Space Wolves Legion assaulting the homeworld of the Thousand Suns and of Astartes killing Astartes across the width and breadth of the galaxy.
I do just want to say that although they were getting fragments and couldn't tell friend from foe and it was all confusing, that was pretty accurate.
Yeah. And also it's like, right, well, I've decided to turn against the Emperor. Oh, wait, what?
I think which one was it? Was it which legion was it?
It was Bob.
One of the legions, I can't remember what it was. One of the legions basically had the same thing, but their reaction was not to turn heretic, was to go, we're just not going to trust anyone, and we're going to wait till the news. Yeah.
They were a bit like that, and well, Jakar Khan was kind of like, do I side with either side? Do I go on my own path? Do I stay loyal to the Emperor?
Yeah.
I don't think he ever really questioned joining Horus, but I can't remember. It was a very long time ago since I read that book.
Yeah. It just feels like they too easily went like, oh no,
Luther hated the Lion, right? If he was going to have to turn against the Lion, he had to turn against the Emperor.
Mm.
And I'm guessing there's more going on behind the scenes than that explains.
I blame Erebus as much as I blame Corax for everything. So, as the Dark Angels, led by the Lion, finally arrived in Terra's orbit and quickly realized that they had arrived too late, events had already taken their terrible course and the final battle was over. Though the forces of chaos had been defeated, they had left the Imperium in ruins, and for Johnson, one final shattering betrayal remained to be discovered on his return to his homeworld of Caliban.
What a massive Johnson.
It's got a massive Johnson.
Yes, sir.
A giant
I haven't watched Austin Powers in
steel
ages.
shaft with balls.
Oh, 2 seconds, guys.
As Lionel Johnson's fleet entered Caliban's orbit, they were devastated by a defensive barrage from the planet below. Enraged, Johnson immediately ordered a sustained orbital bombardment of what he saw as traitors, and then led a surgical strike against Luther's position at Aldura. Meanwhile, the massed guns of the Dark Angels fleet continued to pound the planet's surface, and as such, Caliban began to crack under the strain of this sustained bombardment. This is when they went and had a massive hug together and stabbed each other and yada, yada, yada. No, the two former friends fought in a titanic struggle. Luther was now champion of chaos, empowered by the power of the chaos gods. He was equally matched against the power of the Primarch. Luther did mortally wound Johnson in the fight, and as the lion lay mortally wounded, Luther realised his mistake in turning upon his old friend and slumped down next to the fallen Primarch as Caliban was engulfed in a warp storm of epic proportions.
Epic proportions.
In combination with the tectonic shifting and cracking caused by the almighty orbital bombardment and the warp storm raging, in combination with the tectonic shifting and cracking caused by the orbital bombardment and the warp storms raging, the entire planet twisted itself into oblivion. Caliban shattered, breaking apart into countless chunks of rock. Can you smell it? The planet was entirely ripped apart and destroyed. The debris, as well as many of the now known fallen, were sucked into the warp. It's like Alderaan. It's not there anymore.
Yeah.
So,
Talking of Alderaan,
like, realistically, the only reason they're fallen is because Luther had a daddy problem.
friend problem.
Friend
Brother
problem, sorry.
problem.
Sorry, yeah, he didn't actually. call him daddy.
Well, I mean, there's lots of different theories and thoughts about it. Like, earlier on we heard about
let's start with. That's the only reason they were fallen. Because then they went into the warp for a while, kind of.
Yeah. But I mean, what I was going to say is that they're on Caliban. They're under Luther. They're feeling shameful for being banished back to their homeworld. All of that's already happened.
Yeah.
And then Luther is going, the lion's turned or the lion's dead, potentially weaving a thread that he wants to weave so that they would stay loyal to him. Perhaps.
Yeah.
But then, he bested the lion due to his chaos powers, and then his mind shattered and he went, what have I done? And fell down and collapsed next to his fallen friend. So, he's clearly not completely just like, ha 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 ha, evil villain, twist my mustache. It's an interesting kind of broken relationship, forcing Luther to find other means of wealth or self-esteem, or it's quite a psychological battle.
Which is most things in 40k, it's just not as simple as it might.
Yeah, it's interesting. It is interesting, particularly when we get back onto Luther a bit later on. And his opinion of what the lion's going to do when he returns it's interesting. Anyway, talking of Alderaan, funny you mentioned Alderaan. This segment I have named "That's No Moon." Ha ha ha.
Oh, sorry.
So, the only thing that remained of the Dark Angel's former homeworld was a large chunk of stone the size of a large asteroid. This would become known as The Rock
Johnson,
with his massive physique.
Do you think when was the first origins of Lionel Johnson, and was it before or after The Rock Johnson?
Oh, before?
It's got to be
I don't
before,
know.
right?
No, I don't know.
Because
The Rock was very famous. We're talking wrestling Rock, right?
Yeah. When was
early 2000s, late 90s?
So he was born in 1972. So
but I think he was big, famous in
WWE.
WWF.
He was famous as
It was WWF then, but it was late 90s, early 2000s.
So he was from 1996 to 2004. So he made it. He made his debut in 1996. So say the person that came up with this part of the law was a huge WWF fan.
He just wanted to use the name.
The Rock Johnson. I mean, it makes sense. When did
I believe Lionel Johnson is named after a poet, but anyway.
I mean, that's too. No, I don't like that.
Anyway, I'll let you tinfoil hat over there in the corner. So this large asteroid, part of Caliban, is now renamed The Rock. And the huge fortress monastery where the Lion and Luther had fought survived, protected by graphitic force field emitters. And the monastery of the Angelicasta and the huge fragment of Caliban's bedrock had held together when the rest of the planet had shattered. The Dark Angels flew down to the surface. Caliban that had the Dark Angels flew down to the surface of Caliban that had survived the warp storm and gazed around them in horror at what was left of their homeworld. At the heart of the ruined wasteland, they discovered a mentally shattered Luther, bloody and gibbering, and were unable to extract anything coherent out of the shell of the man who had once been the former second in command of the Legion. Luther repeated the same words over and over again. The Primarch had been carried away by the Watchers of the Dark and one day would return to forgive Luther for his terrible sins that he had committed. Of the mighty Primarch Lionel Johnson, there was no sign. Following the destruction of Caliban, the Dark Angels made the rock their new home. Many of the devices from the apex of human invention still worked, like the Great Void Shield generator itself, although the remaining halls were large and massive labor had to take place to carve out deeper and deeper catacombs beneath the asteroid's bedrock, excavating room for an entire Space Marine Legion. With the aid of the tech priests of Mars, space docks were added, allowing for the entrance of Voidcraft. So this is like, we need to make the best of a bad situation. Let's turn this big chunk of rock into actually livable space. Although it would take many standard centuries to complete, the rock was outfitted with a great warp drive, allowing the Dark Angels headquarters to travel across the galaxy. The rock itself does not stay in any one star system for long. At most, it remains in place only for a few generations of mortals. The chapter now gathers recruits from any settled human world at which the rock pauses close by, which I find really interesting. It makes obviously a load of sense. They don't have a home world to recruit from anymore, but just never really occurred to me how they got new aspirants. So that was quite a cool little tidbit. Although only a fraction of what was once Caliban, the rock is larger than even the heaviest class of spacecraft, and it bears formidable firepower. The sheer sides of its mass are studded with gun turrets, lance batteries, torpedo tubes, observation blisters, and communications arrays. Although attempts have been made to mask it, an unusual energy signature also emanates outwards from the rock, from some great power source hidden within. Beneath the shattered ruins, many dark secrets lay cloistered from sight, and the deeper into the rock's labyrinth of dungeons one goes, the closer one comes to the truth of the Dark Angels. So there's some emanating signal that is pulsing from the center of the rock, and no one really knows what this is, even the Dark Angels themselves. Which is, spooky. The warrens beneath the rock are where the Dark Angels bring their fallen angel brethren to be redeemed, in brackets, redeemed, by their interrogator chaplains. It is believed by the Inquisition to hold many other secrets of critical importance to the Imperium. Only when a Dark Angel reaches the rank of master, like a company captain, does he truly learn. It says all the secrets, but I would say most of the secrets of the Dark Angels, because one secret is only known to the Supreme Grand Master. Near the heart of the rock lies a single cell. It's deep in the bowels of the asteroid base, where only the Watchers of the Dark and the Supreme Grand Master of the chapter are allowed to venture. There, past locked gates, there are shielded by dozens of feet of adamantium plating, is a cell. Its walls are inscribed with the most potent runes of warding known to men, and they have been inscribed to keep creatures out, but also to keep something within. There, sustained in life for 10,000 standard years by a powerful stasis field, languished the broken man who was once Luther. The thing that was, and may still be, Luther divulged many secrets, from the names and locations and members of the fallen, to the whereabouts of relics from the First Legions secreted in the underworks beneath the old fortress monastery. Mostly, however, all that was gotten out of Luther were mad ravings. Over and over, he repeated that he had no need of repentance, for one day the Lion would return and absolve him of his sins. Buried yet deeper within the rock, hidden in its innermost chamber, is the final greatest secret of the Dark Angels and the Unforgiven. It remains unknown to the Inquisition or the inner circle of the chapter. Hidden inside a secluded chamber at the heart of what was once the planet of Caliban, unreachable by all save the cryptic Watchers of the Dark, the Primarch Lionel Johnson lied, sleeping. There's just layers and layers of like little hidey holes and little secrets that are hidden and no one really knows about. And it's an interesting thing, this giant bit of planet that now can fly around space.
I've debunked my own myth.
Oh, cool.
So,
So,
go on.
I've just been doing a little bit of digging. The Rock, as in 40K Rock, was before The Rock.
Yeah, so the first appearance of Dark Angels and their lore was in 2nd edition, which was released in 1993. Dwayne The Rock Johnson was obviously in 1996. So.
Yes.
Maybe he's a fan of Dark Angels.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson, he didn't come out as The Rock until 1997. And the Angels of Death Codex didn't come out until 1996, so 3 years into 2nd edition.
Okay.
And that's when it was first mentioned. But yeah, Rocky Maivia debuted in November 1996, but didn't become The Rock until 97.
After he read an Angels of Death Codex.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And one day he will play the lion in a blonde wig.
Nothing to do with the fact that his character sucked in WWE at the time.
Hi.
Until his Nation of Domination.
He's probably the most famous ex-wrestler, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, John
Cena.
Senna.
Yeah, he's
but he's not
behind him, and Hulk Hogan will be bigger, I would have thought.
Do you think
Rock is the number one?
The Hulk is definitely the Hulk. The Rock definitely is worth more than Hulk Hogan, right? Do you think he's worth more?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he will be.
Anyway, so
back off that tangent.
Off of that tangent, it might still be true. This is the escape of Luther and the besiege by Vashtor. So you'd think a fortress as colossal and heavily armed as the Rock, constantly surrounded by a formidable fleet of Dark Angel warships, would be utterly impregnable. For millennia, it stood as a symbol of unyielding power, a bastion against the galaxy's endless horrors. Yet, to the profound horror of the Dark Angels, even their sacred mobile home has recently felt the insidious touch of damnation. In a shocking turn of events, the Archer, they did van life first. No. In the shocking turn of events, the arch traitor Luther, imprisoned deep within the Rock for 10,000 years, was dramatically freed. This audacious escape occurred during an unexpected demonic assault, unleashed shortly after the Great Rift tore reality asunder at the dawn of the era of Indomitus.
You literally read the letters.
Indomitus. The attack was orchestrated by the cunning fallen angel demon prince Marbas. While the majority of Dark Angels believe this to be mere acts of chaos fueled mayhem, the supreme Grandmaster Azrael knew the grim truth. It was the diversion expertly executed to liberate Luther from the millennia-long captivity. Luther's current whereabouts remains a terrifying mystery. So do you think he was playing a moron, or do you think he was actually a moron?
I think he was a deeply troubled person.
Yeah, but he was like, they kind of picture him as like this gibbering idiot, right?
No, I don't think idiot. I think genuinely like mind cracked.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Sorry, that's what I mean.
Like, yeah. I think that's true. Whether he was held in that state because of the stasis field,
maybe,
so he could never really recover, and what he's like now that he's been freed and wherever the hell he is, whether he's now like, I missed the chaos, or whether he's something else, who knows? It's all kind of up in the air at the moment, I think. But yeah, it's an interesting character, certainly.
The Rock's trials did not end there. It found itself besieged once more, this time as part of an enigmatic demon, Vashtor's grand sinister plan. Vashtor launched a cunning ambush, boarding the mobile fortress in a pursuit of a hidden key fragment, an ancient relic sealed deep within the rock's most secure vaults, like Gringotts. His raid was on the brink of success, a terrifying prospect for the Dark Angels and the Imperium alike. In a twist of fate, the Demon Prince Be'lakor, a surprisingly unwelcome intervention, threw a wrench into Vashtor's meticulously crafted scheme, allowing crucial Imperial reinforcements to arrive. Enraged by this unexpected betrayal and seeing his carefully laid plans unravel, Vashtor was forced to retreat. Unbowed, the Rock, accompanied by a massive armada of unforgiven chapters, pursued Vashtor to the distant Somnia stars. There, in the brutal Battle of Ildelos, the Vashtor finally achieved his original objective, acquiring the sought-after key fragment, the Tuchuluchujul engine.
Cha-choo-cha.
Choo-choo-choo! Engine.
Chulcha.
Was it?
How would you say that? Chuchula.
All I know is when you start up the engine, all that happens is
So this engine
is no mere relic. It's ancient, sentient device, possibly even a warp entity itself, believed to be one of the old ones' origin. It forms part of a powerful Jesus Christ.
triumvirate.
It forms part of a powerful triumvirate alongside the Orbius and Plagueheart that when combined,
The Ouroboros.
when they combine their rings, could tear open a rift spanning both space and time. Even on its own, the Chuchula is capable of executing warp jumps with unparalleled efficiency and precision, making it an invaluable and terrifying asset in the hands of Chaos. The question now looms. What terrifying new powers will the Chuchula unleash? And what further horrors await the Rock and the Defenders of the Galaxy already teetering on the brink? Find out next time on The Rock.
The way you read that was very like, find out next time on
The Rock Tales.
The Legend of Korra.
So he's got the Plagueheart, he's got the Tuchula, and he's got Alrob or Ross.
So what are they? Sorry, are they Power Rangers that combine themselves to become Mighty Morphin Power Rangers? Is
They're
that what it
three
is?
parts of one that, when combined, make a TARDIS, basically.
Okay. Do we feel
If you want it in the very simple terms.
when do you think we've invented enough shit in this edition in this universe? Like
It's just
it feels like they've gone a bit far. They've stepped a bit far. Like, let's make a TARDIS.
we need some timey-wimey in there.
we got.
Do you reckon this is how
Used
they're
to
going to
walk.
get other Primarchs back? Oh, please don't say this. How they're going to bring other Primarchs back?
Oh,
I'd be so
Time
fucked
jump
off.
and bring Sanguinius, pull him out of his event, like the
God.
what is it, the world between worlds.
Well, actually,
in,
to be
Star
honest,
Wars.
if John Grammaticus taught me
Yeah.
anything, is it would have already have happened. Therefore, we would already know about it. Because that was what the red string was about, right? They had to go back and laid it, so they already knew about it. But they had to go and make it happen. But Sanguinius wasn't pulled out of the universe, and the I don't know this actually, what's his face? Lehman Russ did go into the warp, right? So very could have easily have been yanked back out.
Yeah, well, he went into the Eye of Terror, didn't he?
So
Yes.
maybe that's how they're going to bring him back.
Yeah, he was searching for Alrob or Ross.
You haven't opened the codex. How do you know not the line? How do you know that Russ isn't just there on page 1? And it was just like the
Because
biggest secret
the
they've
codex
kept.
was leaked, and
yeah, okay,
that
good
wasn't there.
Yeah. Anyway, Lion's return.
It just it's weird because it jumps to he claims a shield.
Yeah,
When
so
did he wake up?
because I'll explain this, and if it stays in, cool. There is a crazy, weird, wobbly story talking about jumping the shark, where the lion's in like Mirror Caliban, and somehow is pulled from there and ends up on a planet, and this happens, and the Watchers of the Dark lead him towards a room and say, "But you can't go in there yet because you're not strong enough." And then he goes a different way, and he's basically wandering around in like the shadow realm, like a spirit, and eventually then steps out into real space and can now like teleport through the warp using a thing called the Forest Walk, and it's very strange. And then he claims the Emperor's old shield, and then this happens. And the reason I didn't include it is because it doesn't involve The Rock, which is what our segment is, not the Dark Angel / Lionel Johnson.
Right,
That sounds like they went, right, guys, we've got an
need
hour
to
left of this
shoehorn
meeting
it
room
in.
booked, and we need somehow to get the Lion back into the universe. Let's figure it out.
It's very strange, having not read the books around it.
Yeah.
It was very odd reading things online and bits, extracts from codexes and things like that. That was like, I kind of understand what's going on, maybe,
Yeah.
but because we didn't need it in the story, and to be honest, this is here to just wrap up where The Rock is potentially in the 40k lore, rather than us focusing on the Lion as a character and what he's doing, because this isn't a segment about the Lion.
No.
So it's a little bit of a shoehorn in the end, I will certainly admit.
Okay, so
All right.
right, okay,
So a shield appears out of nowhere.
the Lion miraculously returns from his mortal wound and claims the Emperor's shield. He then rendezvous with a group of blood angels that have arrived to investigate rumours of the Lion's return. He has a convene with Dante, who shocks him by revealing that Gilliman is still alive.
Hang on, how the fuck does Dante know this? Don't they come back at
Because-
the same time?
No,
Dante's-
Gulliman's back before the Lion.
Okay.
Already.
But it's not
already.
so much that Gilliman come back before the Lion. It's Gilliman coming back before the Lion and then getting across the Great Rift to then go and talk to Dante.
Yes.
And then
Yeah,
And then
I
the
can't
Lion
remember
coming
in
back.
what order,
Yes.
whether
That's generally what's
Gulliman
happened.
comes back before the Rift, or is it?
yeah, no,
After
Gulliman
the
does come
Rift?
back before the Rift.
Yeah, so he may have had communications with Dante. Dante would be aware because the Rift hasn't cut off Imperium Nihilus yet.
Yeah, I would say it's probably at the moment in the books they're looking for a way to get across the rift. The Elder, I've come and gone. Your brothers still live across the other side of the rift.
Yeah, but what I mean is, like, if Gulliman came back
Did,
before that,
did he right before the rift come in? Be like, hey, bro, just to let you know, still alive. We'll come to you. Don't worry about
yeah,
it.
we'll come see you, and then obviously never does.
Yeah, I this universe, honestly, GW need to do a way better job at like maintaining a visual timeline of where the fuck all this
This
shit
might
is.
be why keeping it at 2 minutes to midnight was far better.
No, I disagree. Like after now, this is a definite tangent from this. I think after now reading through like what 9-10 books from the new universe, like looking back at the previous before that happened and the books that were being released, they were basically the same book, just reskinned in multiple ways. Like now, it actually kind of feels like we've shunted forwards and like. Primaris are fucking amazing. Chaos don't know all the shit that they're doing, but Chaos also have the advantage of the fact that they can now go where the fuck they like. Like it feels like we've shunted the universe along in a healthy way. Like I appreciate people may not like Primaris and the way they shoehorned them in was a little bit rough and ready, but it is cool that they have pushed this narrative forwards.
Yeah.
But a huge. It's not a step; it's a jump, right? Rather than before being like tiny steps, going, "Hey, the angels exist. They always were there. It's fine. Don't worry about it." They're basically done the same thing, but gone, we now have Primaris Marines by our models. Anyway, Neil, the Lion returned, apparently.
So, yes. So, boarding the Blood Angels flagship, Absolution's Ear, or Ire, the Lion made for Idolatros, or the Idolatros system, before using his forest walk to journey to the Wormwood amidst the fierce battle of Idolatros.
So again, for those that are not initiated in this current lore, Forest Walk is the Lion can imagine where he wants to go. He has a wander through an ethereal warp version of Caliban's forest and then appears where he thought he wanted to go.
This is getting really fucking weird. Like,
So
That's my very basic way of explaining it to you guys. I'm sure it's much more intricate and detailed in the novels and deep Dark Angel lore, but right now that's how I understand it.
Has
he can kind of now jump
he's become
from place to
Nightcrawler.
place.
I'm just trying to look like whether or not. So Mike's obviously shared the rule pages for him a few times.
He's got a rule that allows him to kind of disappear and reappear,
but it's
which
not
I believe is his Forest Walk.
Mist Wreath, Shadow Realms. Yeah, you can move from battlefield
It's
It's
places.
like
reappearing.
it's like a mirror dimension. He can go in at one point,
Yeah.
walk the mirror dimension of this previous Caliban before
Yeah.
it was blown up,
I mean, to be
and
fair,
then
if
yeah.
they called it Forest Walk, it would have been a fucking it would have been the best joke ever. He's just going for a stroll in the forest to calm himself down before he pops back into the universe. But Mystery Shadow Realms is also not a great name. Anyway, sorry, Neil. Forest Walks.
Forest Walk's journey to the Wormwood amidst the fierce battle of Idolatros, reappearing before the Unforgiven as they battled the forces of Vashtor, Black Legion, and World Eaters. So I'm guessing that this is when Vashtor wanted to become the fifth Chaos
this
God.
is the Arcs of Omen. That's why he's collecting the fragments. This is all from that campaign book. Yeah.
Fair enough. Upon manifesting, the lion immediately saved Dante from demon Angron. They then had a massive duel across the Wormwood until Lionel Johnson was able to use Angron's own attack to force the tip of his relic sword Fealty into the demon's throat. After dispatching Angron with the Emperor's shield, the lion cleared a path for the Blood Angels and the Unforgiven to evacuate back to their ships and escape. Since reawakening, the lion has shown an even greater disdain for what has become of the Imperium than even Gilliman. When he appears on worlds, he often bypasses the local governor and imperial authorities and deals personally with the local civilians and soldiers. The lion's coming has often heralded a vast regime change and reform process. For few of these leaders will dare defy a Primarch. Nothing is really shared of how much of a role the Rock has in the process, but one could assume this is where the lion now stands at the head of his chapter. Possibly.
Yeah, it's really frustrating, and I don't know if there's just a hole that they haven't filled in yet or not, but I couldn't find anything that has the lion returning to the Rock, considering about 10 minutes ago we described him being at the center of the Rock and only the Watchers knowing him there, and then all of a sudden he's in this mirror place and Forest Walks off the Rock, and I'm assuming now he's back, he's taking his seat in the hall and in the master's private quarters, and is now, that's where he is, and he's flying around to all the distant systems and sorting this stuff out, but there's nothing to confirm that.
Fair enough.
But I don't know how else he's going from system to system and changing regimes and everything else if he's not on the Rock, because he doesn't have any other ship.
Remember, you can't stop the Rock. Can't stop the Rock.
Exactly.
That one slightly lost on me, but I'm sure it's funny.
So to round out this spotlight, which has vaguely been about an asteroid floating through space, piloted by Space Marines, is the Master of the Rock. So most Space Marine chapters have a Master of the Forge, the most senior tech Marine within the chapter, with deep understanding of the arcane sciences refined over many standard years of experience. The Master of the Forge is comparable to a tech priest of the Adeptus Mechanicus. The Dark Angels maintain a similar role within their chapter, known as the Master of the Rock, although there is an ominous difference. Upon ascending to the honoured position, the Master of the Rock follows his predecessors in the office by being permanently and cybernetically hardwired into the control nave of conjugators located deep within the asteroid base. It is his solemn duty to placate the most important machine spirits, directing the maintenance of the engines and warp drive that allow the enormous asteroid to navigate the galaxy. It is his mind alone that perceives the workings of the force field that still shields the asteroid base. The previous Masters of the Rock, whose bodies of flesh and bone have withered, are left in place, their mechanical upgrades still functioning, while their bones fall in dusty heaps below. Eventually, these bodies will be collected for display in the alcoves of honor. So this is like, hey, you're the Master of the Rock. Follow me. I'm now going to plug you into this machine and basically crucify you technologically, and you're just going to stay there until you die, and we put another one in.
We're going in a mock impression of the Emperor.
It's kind of crazy. and was worth mentioning as we were covering The Rock. It's really interesting. I thought we'd get loads more details around like specific battles that The Rock was involved in, because I think we covered the Phalanx before of the Imperial Fists, which is the closest kind of ship to The Rock. And it's like, oh, and it turned up here and it fought in this and it did this. But then I remembered that the Dark Angels like to keep secrets, right? So they don't really want to share any details on where this thing goes and what it does.
No, quite.
So it was an interesting kind of dive into the lore of The Rock. And obviously has to be focused around the Lion and Luther, and because that's how it is created, and then they're at the center of it. And so it was a windy, windy path that kind of meandered in a few places due to the lore and the gaps in it, but also our stupidity and just having fun. But hopefully you enjoyed that spotlight. We're going to take a quick break.
Hang on,
and come back.
quick question. So obviously you are wound up finding yourself on The Rock. Which part of it would you want to be like? Which job do you think you'd have as if you were on The Rock?
Certainly not Master of the Rock. I mean, being kind of in the master level would be cool because you'd know a lot more of the secrets and the little passageways. I don't necessarily know if I want the job of Supreme Grandmaster, but being in the inner circle would be kind of nice, I think.
You'd get some pretty sick powers though, wouldn't you? Like you sort of give yourself to corn, slash, get some like extra tentacles.
Just turn that chaos knife and twist it.
I think I would like. I'm assuming as a Fortress world, it probably has like ship guns and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, a ton.
I think for my position, I'd probably be like a loader or something like that.
A loader.
That's much more reasonable. Than,
That or I'd be a watcher in the dark. You know, it's kind of I quite like doing that. So
a little.
No, we're not talking about that kind of thing, Sam.
I could be a watcher in the dark.
Watcher in the dark in the Master's private quarters.
Yeah, absolutely. He'd be like, no, Daddy, no.
No, Daddy, no.
Anyway, Neil, have you got a preference as to where you would serve in The Rock?
I will be chief. I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't know.
I'll tell you where would be really nice and peaceful is at the top of the is it the Angel Caster or however you say that word, which is where Luther and the Lion fought, is eerily silent because no one ever goes there because it's like seen as like hallowed ground.
Okay.
Like so it's just like you being the guard of that door, no one's ever gonna come up to you. You're just gonna chill all day. That'd be kind of nice.
Yeah. That or you could be a window cleaner.
There's a lot of stained glass.
There's a lot of fucking glass windows.
A lot of stained glass. But then you'd have to get the cloth and rub the Johnson.
On that note, we're going to take a quick break and come back with our closing remarks. So, interesting choice of words. Johnson.
Do you want to paint some models? Come on, let's go and paint. They're always sitting on the shelf. They won't paint themselves. Do you want them to stay all grey? Hi, I'm Matt, and you may remember me from such things as pessimist or realist, you decide. Laziness, the hobby killer, and the burning of Hivani Prime. I'm here to tell you about the monthly hobby hangouts that we host online. These run usually the last Sunday of every month from 8 PM UK time, where you will be greeted by one of the podcast hosts. Every month is a blast with lots of chatter around the hobby as well as wider life in a friendly atmosphere. Some of us get a decent amount of hobby done, but by no means is that the must for these hangouts. We post updates and links to these events through our Facebook Safe Room and Discord channel, so jump on those to join in with other members of the Adeptus Terra community. We hope to see you there.
And go Matt, go.
Welcome back. This is the round out of our episode, or our, closing remarks?
Closing remarks. It's a really great way to describe the finishing of the show.
I think it's fine. I think it's cool. A quick reminder before we sign off. Our next hobby hangout will be the July 27th, which is a Sunday, and it's from 8 PM. Come and hang out, get some hobby done, chat a load of nonsense around this hobby we love, or just life stuff. There's a really good group of regulars that we get, but we always have room for more, and we'd love to see new faces. So do please accept our invitation and come and join us. And there's been a real staple to our podcast for a while now, and they are really, really good fun. And one of the reasons we keep the podcast going, because we can hang out with you guys that listen. So jump on, please do if you can. Social media plugs, come and join our Discord server. Come and join our community safe room on Facebook. It'd be loved to see the activity on both of those just grow and become more regular. And if you like, however you listen to us through the podcasting apps and software, leave us a review and be kind. But until next episode, I don't have anything else to add. Gentlemen, do you have anything to add?
No.
No.
Good. Well, then I've been Matt.
I've been Sam.
And I've been Neil.
And this has been the Adeptus Terra podcast. See you guys soon.